The man in the back is waving his green flag. The lights are counting down. The engines are whirring. And we are away. Good start there from Mizzy. An excellent start from Ham. Moving up a couple of positions already. Ghost Colt looks to have had a really good start on his soft compound tyres, already gaining 2 positions off the line. As Ham, I think, is having a go at Zydrad, I believe. And yep, Ham and Zydrad make contact. Don't think there's any damage from them as Ghost is waiting in the wings. So Ham and Zydrad go side by side now. Using a lot of ERS is Zydrad, but Ham does have the inside line. Zydrad going to go for the switchback. No, Ham does hang him out to dry a bit. Gives Ghost a good run on his sort of compound tyres. He's going to try it around the outside of the Mercedes driver into the middle sector. He's thinking about it, but Zydrad cuts him off. Further down the field, I see FNR Southerner has made up a few positions, going from P9 to P7. Good start from him. As SLR Darnell's fallen backwards on his softs. Jam Ham's gained a bit. Well. Yeah, so shocking starts from them. Freeman and Gavin have gained a couple of positions each. VR46 has dropped down a bit as B-Dunk is making a move on Merc, so his hard compound tyre is working really well, as is Hoops, who's gained a position as well. And is now on the back of UK Beast Assassin. But out front, though, Mizzy15 has gained a 1.1 second lead as Smoke has lost it.
He's kept it on.
At the back of the field.
He spun that as well.
No, he hasn't. He's at the wall. He hasn't got any damage, but yeah, he'll be looking to rejoin the track quickly. And I don't know if he's got damage. I don't think he has, but disastrous start from him as Freeman has made a move on Kevin. Nice move there. Looks like it was probably around the outside of the V hairpin. So making a move very early on. Is he going to look to try and make a move on Paraquix now? Possibly, but
did that just say ERS enabled? DRS enabled?
Oh, that's a good little glitch from the game, saying that we're on lap 3 and we're really on lap 2. The game does that sometimes.
Yeah, I think quick one about Smoke there at the back. He just didn't.
Sorry, I can't hear a bit.
Positions through.
Oh, Darnell got off. Sorry, you're breaking up a bit. You're breaking up a bit, Hypers.
Sorry.
Can't hear you too well.
I'll try and.
But yeah.
I might have to turn the stream off. I might see if I can turn the stream. I've got the stream off. I've got everything running. I think. Let me just turn that down a little bit.
Xbox parties have been horrific. Apology, guys.
Oh, it could be that.
Nothing we can do about it. The Xbox parties have been bad all weekend. We'll try our best to give you the best stream as we possibly can. But yeah, SLR Darnell went off on his soft compound tyres and has dropped way down, so his risky strategy has not paid off with a very, very bad start from him. As Ghost Colt is maybe looking to gain a position on Zydrad as well. Of course, on his soft compound tyres, he will have the pace on these guys ahead for the first few laps. As well as SLR Southerner in P7, so perhaps looking good for maybe if he can keep it later on in the race for his first points in Elite, as Kevin and GT and VR46 are battling it out.
Kevin's run really wide there.
Yep, gives VR a bit of a run, as Bezos1 is the first driver to pick up a penalty. Oh yeah, he's a driver that we didn't really notice, made a disastrous start. I think he qualified all the way up in P3, but he's all the way down in P11 on his mediums. So
yeah, he's lost 8 positions there.
Yeah, disastrous start for him. Don't know whether he was caught up in anything between the top runners. Who knows? As Midzi and Ryan Jones already started to put a gap on Ham Jam and the rest. I don't know whether Ham has got minor wing damage from his contact with Zydrad. Doesn't really look like it. Does look to be keeping a relatively decent gap to Zydrad and Ghost behind him. So the top two maybe just have the edge on the others for the rest of this, for the beginning part of this race.
Yeah, I think it's Freeman who's seems to be making the most gains at the minute. It's slowly, after a couple laps, just eking his way up the field. We know he's got the pace. It's just a case of getting up close behind each of his rivals and getting the move done. He's right on the back of power, but he just dropped a little bit there through the roundabout. I don't know if he's going to have enough to sneak one past Paraquix into the hairpin.
Not using his ERS, of course he's in a train. But someone who I think is Ghost Colt, who's gone up the inside of Zydrad. McLaren versus Mercedes battling again. You do love to see it, but Zydrad holds the position this time. the Mercedes driver, and now we're getting towards the stage of the race where the mediums are going to come more into it, the soft runners are going to struggle, as Jam is quite close to the back of SLR Southerner. As VR and Kevin in the background are battling side by side in turn 1 quite hard. Kevin has set himself. We saw him go wide a couple of laps ago and he's picked up a penalty, so obviously going to be partly caused by his battling with the Haas driver. Who, yeah, down 4 positions from his start, so... Again, like we said, that Darnell's risk didn't pay off qualifying in the top 10 on the softs, but neither has SLR Darnell's risk, but neither has VR46's risk of not electing to get through into Q3 on the mediums. Meanwhile, another driver who is, of course, one to look out for, who is staying reasonably within a train that does include his teammate, is Hooperlicious. Currently sitting in P10 on the hard compound tyres. Looks to have quite good pace compared to the other runners around him, and is just biding his time until the others pit around him, and then will be probably looking to make his moves near the end of the race. Although he's using a decent amount of ERS.
He might be looking to make a move on Bez a little bit quickly coming out the roundabout. I don't actually see the hard tyres not going to give him enough.
As Jamham goes up the inside of Southerner, and Crispy goes up the inside of Ghost Colt. So there we are, the soft runners now beginning to lose their initial positions. As Ghost does stay out, as does Southerner. They feel it's not time yet, but yep, Jam now will be hoping to catch up on the train led by his brother. He said it wasn't a strong track for him, but he is still in pretty good position at the current stage. Of course, making up 6 positions off the start, and he is on, well, completely fresh mediums, which is another thing that is worth keeping an eye out on, because the others around him are all going to be on older tyres, having qualified on them. This could be something that could help Jamham later on in the race, I think. As now we are next driver to look at, I guess. Closest battle.
I started to skin out a little bit. It'll be Mercs on the back of B-Dunk. B-Dunk on those hard tyres. It looked like I was just on that half on board with him behind Betters. It's like the game. Yeah. That might be me. I don't know. But everyone went a bit laggy there. Yeah, but it looks like Mercs is going to want to try and get the move done here through the DRS zone. He's going to want to get past these hard runners because on the medium strategy he wants to try and pull out as much gap as possible.
Very difficult to do, of course.
It doesn't look like he's got the exit. It looks like B-Dunk, same as last lap, got a much better exit out of the corner.
Zyder has made a move on Ham. That's something we've missed. Ham has managed to fight back as Hoop has made a move on UK Beast Assassin. That's a very, very nice move there. As is Ghost Colt going to come into the pits this lap? He is. What about SLR Southern? I know he stays out. Yeah, Hoop makes the move on Beast. So he's making his hard tyres work really well. And yes, Ghost and Darnell have come in for a very early stop here. Of course, the softs can make it to the end from lap 5. Yep, Southerner has just let him through. He's just let him through. He knows that Hoop is quicker at this stage of the race. His softs are not working anymore, and
I do think that was a bad place to do it, because Southerner's going to be under a lot of pressure now. Letting him go through the corner, I would have waited till a straight bit of track and just drop down into lean there.
Oh, hang on, Bezzers and B-Dunk going side by side. I'm on board with Bezzers, and you can just see a Williams M plate just off the corner of your screen. They touch wheels a little, but
he's gone. Bezzers gone.
No, it's not. Bezzers in the wall.
And
he hasn't retired, but that is completely ruined his race. And yeah, going side by side with B-Dunk, they made contact, and yeah, it's so easy to do there. They banged wheels a couple of times. As Bezzers has been disqualified for going the wrong way. Oh god,
she goes from bad to worse to Bezzers today. He started up in P3. Unfortunately, the race has ended now, and that's Beast is making a move on Southerners there.
Oh,
and he's passed.
Sorry, just coming back to that. Yep, he's made the move before the DRS, before the end of the straight, as Ghost has made the move on Bezzers. No, sorry, Ghost has made the move on Smoke before they even got to the straight, so now there's a good bit of clean air. As Southerner has dropped all the way down. Oh, he's pitted. Oh, I thought he'd had an off, but he's pitted. Crispy and Zydrad now going side by side. Sorry, not having the inside line. Crispy did have the outside line, looked to maybe have a good bit of a run on his friend, of course, but has not been able to get past him. As Southerner, where is he coming out relative to his brother? Just ahead of SLR Darnell, so despite being a few positions ahead of him, that one lap undercut by Darnell has put him right with the Ferrari driver. And what these guys have now got to do, they've got to work together. They've got to work together though. They're on the same strategy. They need to make sure that whoever's quickest out of both of them is the lead driver, and they can
go side by
try and close the gap to maybe Ghost. As nope, they're fighting.
Neither are conceding here. I'll let you keep on board with that.
Darnell makes the move.
Front.
Yep.
Merckx is on the back of B-Dunk there.
Quickly gone. I'll go on board with Zydrad though, as he's getting quite close to Ham, but not using too much of his ERS, so obviously feels like he just wants to stay behind the Renault driver. They both have very similar ERS. As Midzi and Ryan Jones, yet they have well and truly gapped the rest. Gap from Midzi to Ryan Jones is 1.9, as Power and Freeman are going side by side. Freeman has not been able to make the move, but will be looking to going into turn 1 on board with the McLaren driver now.
Don't watch out for it in a minute. Merckx has got 80% of his DRS left. He hadn't been using it a lot, so really been pushing the car to its limits of using all of his extra electrical power.
Yeah, absolutely. As Power and Freeman again are going side by side. Freeman should have the better drive, but Power does manage to close the door. Nice bit of defending there by him, but Freeman's got a bit of a run. He's going to go up the inside of the Renault driver. Power is holding it on the outside, has a bit more battery than Freeman, but Freeman is trying to hold it around the outside. And Power has to yield. Fantastic move there by Freeman. Moves himself up to P12. As we return to the battle for the podium spot, you have to say, between Ham, Zydrad, Crispy and Jam.
Yeah,
and
thinned out.
Zydrad is using a bit more of his ERS. He feels like he is quicker than Ham and does want to maybe lead them. Is Ham going to use much of his ERS to defend? He isn't. Zydrad is making the move on the Renault driver. Moves himself up to P3. Does Ham fight it? No, he does not. Happy to let Zydrad lead for this portion of the race.
Looks like chat saying Freeman is racing without his pit crew today. The McLaren party is dead, so no comms for Freeman or Ghost. Looks like the party chat is going to plague them this weekend.
Yeah, at the moment it looks like he doesn't. At the moment, he looks like he doesn't need them the way he's been managing to make these moves. Looking very, very strong at the moment.
He's going to want to take these mediums as far as possible. Yeah, so he wants to make sure he doesn't burn them up too much.
A bit further back, VR46 versus Paraquix.
B-Dunk's making a move on Assassins. Down the inside, contact, looks like no damage. That's B-Dunk making a dive bomb again. Merckx has got past Assassins.
And very opportunistic. Very opportunistic there from Merckx with Beast's compromised exit. So B-Dunk obviously hung out the Haas driver to dry a little bit, and Merckx thought, thank you very much, I'll be taking this position.
He's going to try and take it.
Now is he going to maybe look to get past? I think Merckx will maybe look to try and get past B-Dunk. He does have 90% ERS, B-Dunk has 14, so this really should be no contest. Although B-Dunk does get quite a good exit. I'm expecting Merckx to now maybe deploy his ERS, and does so. DRS enabled, B-Dunk on 3% ERS, and yep, there's no contest there at all. As I've interestingly been trying to look at the gap between Hoopalicious and the guys fighting for P3, and it's staying relatively constant despite Hoopalicious being on the harder tyre. As saying that, we have Jam and Crispy going side by side. Jam's trying to hold it up the inside of the AlphaTauri driver. Crispy is going to have the better traction. But Jam does manage to get the move done. Fantastic move around the outside as UK Beast Assassin and ABR Freeman are in the pits. see where they come out. Yeah, all the way down in P17 and P18. Be interesting to see where the guys in the midfield filter out relative to Ghost Colt, given his good position at the start of the race. But yeah, this battling between Jam and Crispy, though, is allowing Hoopalicious on the hards to close up. So he could be a factor near the end of the race on his fresh set of tyres, on the fresh set of mediums. Got to take these hards as long as he can before bolting on a set of mediums. But he's looking good. And every single passing lap, he's going to be going quicker and quicker than these guys ahead of him, as he will be on the tyres that are the most durable.
Silly Bunny says Freeman might do better without their clown straps, but it looks like the party's back, and Freeman has his comms team back to whisper sweet nothings into his ear.
As, interestingly, looking at the gap to leader now, just to see kind of where this train from P3 to P6 kind of is, and they're going to be coming out really close to Ghost Colt, it looks like, as Ryan Jones, Zydrad, and Ham Jam are all in the pits. So I'm just going to watch Ham's pit stop as we could maybe see a change of position. Ryan Jones, of course, had a bit of a gap to Ham and Zydrad, and yep, Ryan Jones comes out ahead. Zydrad comes out in second. Now we're going to go on board with Ghost Colt as he's coming up towards the first corner now. And Ghost Colt has jumped Ham Jam. So that's big for this race. Ham Jam was, of course, running in P4, and him and Ghost both have to make no more stops. But Ham does have significantly more ERS than Ghost Colt at 80%. Midzy and Jam, I'm sure, and as will Midzy and Jam, I'm sure, will have to react to this lap, with Crispy probably reacting in the following lap to these guys making their pit stops. As we are going to go on board now with our race leader, give him a bit of screen time. 40% ERS, still setting reasonably consistent lap times. But you think he's got to cover off Ryan Jones, surely, for the undercut, don't you think, Typers?
Yeah, I think, what was his gap to Ryan Jones? He's actually going to go for another lap.
Or maybe he's giving priority to Crispy. He's probably given priority to Crispy, I expect, because Crispy was engaged in quite a close battle.
Yeah.
Yes, as I thought, he has given priority to his teammate. I know they do go in parties together, so...
Just think with Midzy's gap, I think he... with the gap he produced... Was it about... Must have been 3 or 4 seconds. Maybe only 2, but I think the gap he had should be big enough now that if with this extra lap he's going to have to do should keep him ahead. I don't think he'd have anything to worry about. I think if he did have something to worry about, he might have, pulled rank there and brought the car in for his pit stop. But he obviously feels comfortable enough to take it on 1 extra lap.
Hang on, this is really interesting. Jam has overcut Ham Jam. I don't know whether
right, yes.
I don't know whether I missed something, but Ham was
leading Jam.
He was the second car in the train. He was the second car in the train, wasn't he, behind Zydrad? Because Zydrad made the move on Ham, I know, but he was the second car in that train. I'm not saying things. I don't think I am, but Jam with the overcut on those medium tyres obviously had a bit more ERS than the Renault driver, and managed to make the overcut work on his brother. And now has quite nice fresh tyres as we're going to now check the...
Yeah, this train is going to hot up, I feel. How far he's got.
Yeah, Ghost Colt is slotted back into it as well, of course. As Midzy pits, meaning that Hoopalicious takes the lead. Does Merc select to pit this lap as well, or is he going to try and stretch these mediums? No, he's going to try and stretch these mediums another lap. Obviously feels comfortable on them. Yeah, but it will be interesting to see Midzy's gap to Ryan Jones.
Yes, it's pretty close. I think he's going to be out of there around through T1. It's going to, as Ryan Jones actually
Ryan Jones
does
set the fastest lap of the race though. But yep, Midzy did have enough on him.
Yes, 2.0. Well, to range is that's going to be 2.7. About the same, I'd say. I don't think it was any much more or any much less than that. But someone is going to have to do something special to really to catch up to Midzy today and to put the challenge to him.
Yeah, of course, he's doing kind of your Sebastian Vettel 2013-esque strategy of leading at the front and then having the freshest tyres and being able to extend the gap further towards the later stages of the race, I expect. As Crispy has got past Ghost Colt, of course Ghost on his older hard compound tyres. But he's doing really well here as Ghost Colt. He, of course, on a bit of a different strategy to these guys, but should be able to hopefully stay with these guys and then maybe save his ERS, maybe think about making a move on Crispy later on in the race, unless Crispy will have better pace than him. It remains to be seen. But yeah,
another driver have much better tyre by the end of the race.
Yep. Yeah, another driver. Looking at his lap times, though, he is going to lose quite a lot, I think, to these runners on the fresher hard compound tyres. Of course, is Hoopalicious, the leader of the hard runners, setting lap times about a second a lap slower than the likes of Ryan Jones and Midzi. So, as Merckx is in for his stop, see where he comes out. Is he going to come out ahead of SLR Darnell? He is not, but he does have much fresher tyres than him. Comes out in P13.
He's actually
just
lost
ahead
a place
of
to
ABR
Sutherland
Freeman
as well. With Freeman up, up his shaft. That looks like where the battle's being fought in a minute, down between P13. There's a hotly contested position, all of it are straight with each other.
Yeah, of course, Beast is 0.7 of a second behind Freeman. As Freeman, I think we must have missed that, because I think he did come into the pits with Beast, but was behind him, and has managed to get past Beast in the pit stop phase. So, good work there by Freeman. But, of course, these guys will need to do a lot to get themselves into the points positions, with B-Dunk, Race Roller, and Hoop, of course, going to be pitting for the medium compound tyre or even the soft compound tyre later on in the race. Speaking of that, we are going to check the gap to leader to see where Hoop would filter out. And the answer is P10, although it would effectively become P8 once B-Dunk and Race Roller pit. Hoop would come out between Ghost Colt and SLR Darnell, as Kevin GT and Paraquix are going side by side, as are Merckx and Southerner. Oh, there's a fantastic battle here for the lower positions, as VR46 is getting involved in this as well, and manages to get in between Paraquix. Managed to get in between Paraquix and Kevin GT. But yeah, Merckx has made the move on Southerner. You said he was behind him, but not for long. Now let's close up on Darnell on his fresher tyres. How high do you reckon Merckx can get? Much fresher tyres? Do you reckon he can catch the likes of Ghost Colt?
I think he'd hope so. I think, especially as the race sort of dwindles down to its final few laps, they're going to be on extremely old hards, really pushing the hards right to the edge of grip. So I think he'd be hoping that he gains a lot more time in the final few laps. He might find it a bit difficult now while he gets his activated, but he definitely hopes to take out a small chunk while they're still super fresh.
Southerner is now going to be under additional pressure. First it was Merckx, now it's Freeman. Does have quite good ERS, the Ferrari driver. But gets a bit out of shape towards the back straight. That does kind of compromise Freeman a bit. Is he going to use his ERS to defend? It doesn't look like it. I think he might realise he's not in the same race as Freeman, and yeah, not putting up much of a fight here, Southerner. As Freeman makes the move on the under braking, moves himself up into P13, and we're setting after Merckx, Darnell, Ghost, etc.
I think that needs to be Merckx's main focus at the minute, knowing that you've got Freeman behind him, and knowing that Freeman can put those laps in. Again, with slightly older tyres, and going to have the same sort of issues, maybe not as bad issues as Ghost Colt and Darnell will towards the end of the race. But he should be confident in himself that he will keep in front of car in front of Freeman's.
Yeah, I expect so.
He's on the back of Ham.
Freshest tyres. Yep, and Jam is also on the back of Zydrad, so So the what once was train has now split off into two parts, with Zydrad and Jam at the moment having a bit better pace than Ham Jam, although the gap's closed slightly. ERS situation, Ham does have a bit more, but Crisp and Crispy running a little low behind Ham. But these are the things that you will see around this track. It is quite hard to follow, especially through the corner leading up to the back straight, so very, very hard to make a move.
Yeah, it looks like
Dirty Air is very, very massive here.
Merckx is close.
If you do have fresher tyres, then the move is possible though. As Hoopalicious has gone into the pit, as has B-Dunk.
Merckx making the move on the inside into the hairpin.
Yep, down the inside of Darnell.
Wide, and he's going to get
but
back
he's
on
out,
the switch
he's
back.
broken himself. Yeah, Darnell does have the racing line, but Merckx does have the fresher tyres and has managed to get the traction on the Alfa Romeo driver. But it'd be interesting to see where Hoopalicious comes out. Does he beat these guys out? It's going to be close.
He is. He's ahead.
He does. He has completely fresh air now on these fresher mediums, and yeah, now looks to close down Ghost Colt.
Cemented himself a points position here as long as he can keep it nice and clean. I think those mediums, he'll be able to take those mediums the 11 laps he needs to. We saw other drivers on the mediums go to lap 9, 10. Or 11 in some cases, it's going to be lower on fuel. He should be able to keep those nice and fresh. And I think he's going to want to make a real push towards top of the grid. He's not massively out. And if he can gain the second lap, that was saying a second lap on the mediums to hards, or less than that.
Tough to say. Probably, I would say you're looking at least half a second, if not more, on those tyres, and certainly will pass Ghost Colt, I expect, and then once he gets past Ghost Colt, it'll be can he close up to firstly Crispy and Ham, and then Jam and Zydrad, and then who knows? I doubt he'll be able to push right for the top, as Race Roller, the final runner who had not made a stop, has come into the pits now as well. So Midzi has regained his lead.
I think
Midzi, Ryan, Jones, Zydrad, P1, 2 and 3. Hoop, I think that must have been a warning.
Yeah, if Hoop can get past Ghost Colt as quickly as possible and hope that Crispy and Jam lose a lot of time battling each other, that he can right on the back of that as quickly as possible. That's what I think he's going to hope him.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting, I guess, to kind of check the lap times of these guys. It'd be kind of interesting to kind of check the lap times between Hoopalicious and the guys ahead of him. As I'm on board with Crispy now, because he is quite close to the back of Ham Jam.
So Hoop just finished his first medium. Oh, he's not finished it yet. He's not there. Oh, who's that? Someone's making a move there. Race Roller on UKBs. Oh no.
Race Roller on VR46.
On VR46, yeah.
The other Haskar. Yeah, moves himself up into P15 and is also on the fresh mediums, as is B-Dunk, so...
That is the pace advantage you've just seen. Massively pulling out a gap there on VR46. And he's closing a gap on Beast exponentially.
Yeah, absolutely, as we are on board with Hoopalicious now, using a decent amount of overtake to try and get a near Ghost, as Crispy has made the move on Ham Jam. Ham is going to fight this back. They do give each other good racing room, as Ham does eventually have to yield, though, as Hoop has been unable to make the pass on Ghost there, but gets such good purchase out of the final corner and sets the fastest lap of the race of a 1:32.7. That is about a second a lap. Moves himself up into P7. Pretty easy move there on Ghost. Ghost, I think, knows that Hoopalicious is not in the same race as him.
Crispy Ham battle is going to play into his hand massively. Gap was 2.9 with Crispy and Ham playing Ghost Colt, and it's down to 2.3 already. So Hoop is showing his cards and saying, "Let's race." Now he's got those mediums
as Race Roller has managed to get the position on the SLR Southerner, also on his fresh mediums. It's a good move there by the Alfa Romeo driver. Yep.
They are definitely
Ghost Colt now, after being passed Yeah, Ghost Colt now having been passed by Hoopalicious now has just got to try and keep the gap relatively steady to Merckx. He's on for a few decent points, of course, on the oldest tyres out of the top 10, and then hope that SLR Darnell fights enough with B-Dunk, but Hoopalicious is now going to be right on the back of Ham Jam, I expect, in the next couple of laps. And now the question now is, can he get a podium? If he's closing in by a second a lap, then I wouldn't put it past him.
I personally think that the podium's going to be a bit of a reach. I think it's a shame that we saw him go out in Q2, so I think he would have been a real challenger for Midzi here. I think he's one of the drivers that's shown the same pace to Midzi, shown he could be running up the front if he had just sorted his Q2 out. But with the time he's gaining, he's got a lot of cars he's got to get past before he's anywhere near that podium yet.
As B-Dunk has made the move on SLR Darnell and is now closing up to Merckx, but has very little ERS. Yeah, look at the amount of grip he's got over the Red Bull driver. Perhaps a little rude with him on exit, but looks fair enough. Closes the door nicely. Wasn't really a dive bomb. The move was definitely on. He does have fresher tyres, and B-Dunk is now going to be closing up to Ghost Colt as well. And you have to say you probably can catch him.
Yeah.
So this is a very excellent recovery drive, and the hard tyres at the start of the race are working well for Hoop and B-Dunk. I do know that they are friends off the track, so... Well, I don't know whether it's... I know they are. I know they do other leagues together. I don't know whether they are...
And wait, where did B-Dunk start
friends in real life, but... 15th, because he crashed in Q1. Yeah. Hoop now using a lot of ERS, trying to get close to Ham Jam. Is he going to make a move here into the hairpin? Yes, he is. He's so much more confident on the brakes. Ham, he's not going to give up on the fight, but does think better of it. They do give each other nice racing room. A lot of respect between these drivers, I guess you have to say.
Yeah, some very good driving we've seen today.
Move.
A lot of wheel-to-wheel action.
And now Hoop's going to come onto the back of Crispy. And Zydrad and Jam would be... As ABR Freeman has just made a move on SNR Darnell, but Darnell is fighting it back. Freeman does have the inside line for this next corner, but Darnell's going to get better traction, but gets actually a poor run, and that does promote Freeman up to P11. So on his medium-hard strategy, he is making that work reasonably well as well from the back of the field. Solid drive there from him. But yeah, Hoop now has a similar kind of ERS situation to Crispy and much fresher tyres. Well, only 5 laps actually, so not as fresher as you might say, but is going to be looking to make the move on the AlphaTauri driver too soon and perhaps push for a podium. Loses it slightly coming out the hairpin though, which does coming out the corner before the main straight, which is going to compromise him and mean that he won't be able to make a move on Crispy down the straight now, but does use a decent amount of his ERS.
I don't think that's a big travesty just yet, because if we look further up the field, Jam is Crispy's 2 seconds behind Jam, and if I was Hoop now, I'd want to keep as much DRS for as long as possible, make sure I'm overtaking. At the end, I'd be wanting to make a move at the end of the straight just here. It looks like he's not going to make it this time around, which is frustrating. When he goes in front of Crispy, to lose that DRS coming down the back straight, which is such a massive time gain, which both Jam and only Jam has it on side drive, so it doesn't have it on Ryan. Actually, I take back what I earlier said about the no podium for Hoop here. He is charging.
Yeah, gap's about... It's about 3 seconds or so to Zydrad, and he's got to get past a few drivers to do so, but I think it's definitely possible for him.
His times are
Jam
slowly
was in
dropping
P2
off.
in the championship before this race, and Hoop was in P1, and... Well, going by the first half of this race with Jam making a lot of moves on his mediums to get up towards the cars ahead on...
Chat are asking if they can have a bit of Jam and Zydrad as they're battling it out.
Oh, yep, I've just gone to them actually.
Okay.
I noticed actually that Jam had quite a lot of ERS, and yeah, Zydrad has gone defensive, and this is going to slow him up as Crispy and Hoop, looking at this from the point of view of Ham Jam, to see whether Hoop is going to try and move into the final corner. Nope, thinks better of it. But yeah, Zydrad went defensive, and Jam couldn't make the move, but Jam does have a bit more ERS. Crispy
making the move.
Delicious are running on fumes, but yep, Hoop's got the pace. Up the inside of Crispy. Crispy tries to hold it around the outside. But nope.
Crispy's not careful there. He's going to open that door to Ham as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He needs to just compose himself. Realise that Hoop on the fresher tyres, chances are he won't be able to fight him, but Race Roller and Freeman are fighting, actually, speaking of fighting. Oh, that is close. Freeman's thinking about moving up the inside, but Race Roller does have those fresher tyres and does manage to stay ahead of the McLaren driver.
Good driving from the McLaren and the Alfa Romeo there.
Yep.
I think
now we go back to Hoop.
We look at that gap at 1.7 at the moment.
Closing. He is going to be up with them before the end of the race. I don't think Ryan Jones will be within reach for him, and Midzi certainly won't be.
No.
But Jam and Zydrad certainly could be. But speaking of Jam, Speaking of Jam and Zydrad, they are using quite a lot of their ERS battling each other. It's clear that they want to be the. It's clear that they want to be the first. They don't want to be the first drivers that Hoop faces. But yep, B-Dunk on Ghost. B-Dunk does have a time penalty, so the longer that Ghost stays behind him, stays ahead of him, the better. But it was no contest really. Those fresh mediums working really well for B-Dunk as well, as Ghost slips down to P9. Now be looking to keep P9 over Merckx. Gap is currently 2 seconds, with Merckx under pressure from another medium runner of Race Roller.
It does look like the hard start strategy seems to have paid off for a lot of the drivers. If we look at the startings, if we look at that's a McLaren, Mercedes, Kevin GT, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, he's had a bit of a torrid time this race as Race Roller picks up a penalty. That is going to hinder his charge.
That is unfortunate.
Jam is right on the back of Zydrad now.
Yeah, Jamham's actually up 9 places at the moment, sat in 4th.
Yeah. So his medium-hard strategies worked wonders. He had a fantastic opening couple of laps and using his fresh medium tyres and yeah, fighting Zydrad for a podium.
Yeah, and if we look at...
This is a decent bit of his DRS. Hoop is in the DRS as well. So this has now become a 3-way fight for the podium. Hoop, he hadn't got DRS in that detection zone there, but he will do in the next zone. But Jam definitely has DRS on Zydrad, who is closing in on Ryan Jones, actually. I don't know whether Ryan Jones is close to a penalty, taking it easy perhaps, but he could perhaps find himself falling into a battle between himself, Zydrad, Jam and Hoop. If he's not careful, Jam gets very close to Zydrad, but doesn't want to open the door to Hoop at all.
Yeah,
his medium tyres will still be good.
I like it. Yeah, Hoop is really put a charge on his last 5 laps. Or the last 7 laps, he's put his medium tyres on. He's been absolutely on fire. It's just, I would love to have seen Hoop, Midzi battling out at the front.
Yeah, you get the sense of that 7-second gap. That 7-second gap from Midzi to Ryan Jones. You get the sense that a car could have filled it. That car could have been Hoop, but of course he has put on a good show and has been very, very disciplined on his mediums.
Oh,
as he loses the back end slightly, he is pushing really, really hard there to try and close up on Jam and Zydrad.
Yeah, I do think he's going to start seeing a little bit of he's going to see a little bit of deg on his tyres now. They're not going to see. They're going to have seen better days. But some of these hards, these 13 lap old and 12 lap old hards at the front, they're obviously
hards do go about 20. They do go about 25 laps actually. To be fair on this track, As Race Roller's made the move on Mercs. Yeah. But yeah. As Hoop looks to be closer to Jam than Jam is to Zydrad. They are all running on not much ERS. So maybe Hoop will have to try and find a bit of an unorthodox overtaking zone, given that he won't have the advantage of DRS over Jam, as Jam has it as well.
A bit
as he
down
gets a
the
really good traction. He gets the power. He gets the power down so well, and he's made the move on Jam. Makes contact with him. Bit of a lunge, but I do think the move was on, but he has let the position back. So obviously feels like it was maybe a bit too rough of Jam, and
but that's good sportsman. That's good sportsmanship there from the Ferrari driver. Doesn't feel like he earned the place and gave it back. I think it's brilliant stuff. I think Kevin down the bottom of the field has put on a set of soft tyres there. Might go out for the fastest lap. Not that it'll matter. He'll be outside the top 10.
Hoop. I think he'd nick it from Hoop actually.
At the moment, yeah. Let me have a step back. Yeah, Hoop's got it at 132.7 at the moment. The fast lap. I was saying Merckx lost a position to Race Roller and is out of the points now.
Yeah, Hoop may have let Jam hand back past, but what it has done is put Jam out of the DRS of Zydrad, so still potentially gives Hoop more of an advantage to get past Jam, but you can see that his tyres are struggling a bit.
Yeah, and I think now
that close to him as the last lap.
He's going to struggle to catch up to the back of Zydrad now, having that whole, just a few moments, like we said earlier, a few moments in that he can change your entire race, where he was looking like he was sure on for a podium here with the three-way battle. Has gone for one move and got a bit overzealous and might have to only settle for fourth.
As interestingly, Race Roller, Merckx and Freeman have closed up on Ghost. So that's a little bit of a three-way battle as Ghost tyres are
giving up on him.
They're probably feeling really second-hand, but Race Roller is running a bit low on fuel. Obviously pushed very, very hard on those mediums to try and get up as high as he possibly can.
Yeah, on board with Ghost car, you can see his tyres have grained up. Got a massive strip of ball down the middle. He's finding it really difficult to keep traction through these medium speed corners. Merckx is caught right onto the back of Race Roller. He's going to want to try and nick that plate back off Race Roller and get himself back into points.
Yeah, of course he doesn't need to because of Race Roller's penalty, but he does need to if he does want to maybe protect himself from Freeman, of course, and then maybe overtake Ghost. So anything could happen with this battle as Darnell has left the session, so hopefully he can get him back in. Hopefully he can get Darnell back in. As actually, Hoopalicious is looking really close to Jam Ham. As Midzi has entered the final lap of the race. Absolutely commanded this race as Jam goes off the track. As is Hoop. Round the outside of the Williams driver. But Jam is going to fight back, the championship leader and the championship P2 driver currently. Before this race going side by side, and Hoop has made the move. But Jam is going to use a bit of the RS. He's going to be able to get back past the Ferrari driver. No, he is not. The Hoop runs a bit deep, and nope, that's not going to be enough. We now go back to
further down the field
in his battle with Merckx.
Yeah, it's going to come right down to the line here. Merckx getting past Ghost Cart. It looks like he's going to do it because Ghost Cart is having a horrid time with those tyres now.
Yep, but what this might do with Ghost is I think he's going to be able to stay within the 3 seconds of Race Roller, but if you can defend well enough from Merckx, that could give his teammate Freeman an opportunity to pass.
So
Freeman does have decent.
We look at those soft starters. Ghost can't be the only one to finish in the points if he does hold his position here.
Yeah, Merckx does have a much better run. Freeman has become a bit disjointed. Does Ghost have DRS? This is crucial. Oh, as he picks up a penalty. But we've returned to Midzi. Oh, oops.
Crispy made a move on.
Who has won the... Oh, Crispy and Ham going side by side. Ham has sent it into the final corner, but has not been able to make the move.
But there was a close finish in the Formula 1 race. There it was. That 4 or 5 cars come across the line within a second or half a second of each other.
Merckx has made the move on Ghost. The road stalls penalty promotes Freeman up into P10. Merckx gets P9. B Dunk holds on to P8 despite his penalty.
What happened?
VR, Darnell, Para. Ghost got a penalty.
What, on the last lap?
On the last lap, yep.
Oh,
he ran wide going onto the back straight.
Oh,
Got a 3-second penalty.
Again, we're saying it's small mistake. Cost you so much in a division like this, where everyone's finishing so close to each other. That 3-second penalty, it means so much.
But yeah, a driver though that, as I said, we haven't really paid too much attention to, because won the race is Midzi 15. Won by 8.5 seconds in the end over Ryan Jones, who was only 1.2 ahead of Zydrad. Up to the line, but...
So let's get some driver of the day
very
versus a few popping in already. It looks like a lot of Midzi popping up. Zydrad driver of the day Midzi. Freeman there, he made up 10 positions to get himself into the points as well. I think that's got to be applauded. Having such a horrid target in Q1, being disqualified for facing the wrong way.
Of course, B Dunk recovering from his crash in Q1 to get up from P15 to P8. It's got to be commendable as well. Jam fighting back from P13 to P5. But I think the majority of the plaudits really, with simply supreme and dominant race pace over the rest today, you must say, and qualifying pace as well. His fastest lap, 0.3 of a second quicker than Ryan Jones's in P2, is Midzi 15 in the AlphaTauri. Led from start to finish, was never pressured at all in that race, you have to say. Was in the effective lead from lap 1 to lap 20, and takes the victory and the full 25 points. He's come close in a couple of races, but he's now finally managed to take the top step of the podium. Yeah. If you could get Midzi, Ryan, and Zydrad into the party, please. As yep, drivers of the day. Owen has said Midzi, Steve-O said Midzi, Bunny said Zydrad, Dorsey said Midzi, sorry, Colden said Midzi, Rando said Midzi, Sprightly said Hoop, another valid contender for driver of the day, of course, although you have to say he started ahead of Jamham, and his strategy only put him 0.6 seconds ahead, so that medium hard versus the hard medium was very similar, you must say, I think.
Yeah, I think, again, I said earlier, I think if Hoop had had a bit in a better position and, probably starting on the mediums at the front, would have been filling that gap he said at the front. Well, I can't find Ryan. Ryan. There he is.
Cool. So, yep, get him in now. But yep, Ryan Jones, I do believe this is his second ever SLR podium, I think. Or no, unless he had one before last season, but I think it was like last season in Brazil was his first podium of the season last season, and this is his first race of this season, I think. Maybe his second, and he's got a podium straight away this season, so I think he'll be happy with that.
Having a quick look at the division here as well, the league tables, Hoop looks like he would have retained his championship lead. I don't think he's on Midzi given 25 points yet. Yeah, with Hoop's points, he's safely holding first place. Midzi might not have even jumped down. Really jam finish. Sixth. I should have taken the picture at the end, shouldn't I?
Yeah. So these interviews, I know you've had issues with your mic, so do you perhaps maybe want me to take the interviews in case you cut out?
I think, you take them.
Yep. Cool. So I think we've got all the guys in the party. Of course, make sure you tick your boxes. You've been here before. As we start off with Zydrad in P3. Second podium of the season. Looked to be a tough one out there. How was that race for you? Satisfied with P3, or do you think you could have been more?
Well, realistically, I was looking at a P6 towards the end because Hoop started catching Mega, and I thought after he got Crispy and Hal, I was like, better turn the burners on. Me and Jan went the entire second stint right behind me. So it was a real sweatfest trying to manage with fuel and ERS. I wasn't even looking at Ryan and Midzi because they're on another level. And then after Hoot went through me on Jam, which lost the DRS, I just tried to give him it all and ended up slightly catching Ryan, but I tried to signal I wasn't even going to try for a move because I just wanted to bring home P3.
Yep. Of course, last race for you wasn't the best, but you've come back with a bang. How does it feel to be back on the podium and show your true pace again? Pick up some good points from Mercedes.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a topsy-turvy season. Obviously, poor result in Australia. I wouldn't say it's really my fault. Barring a pretty good race, slight mistake from me cost me the win. Maybe the win. And then another down race in Vietnam, and then back up to the highs. So it's hopefully next week can be another high low.
Yep. Next track, obviously Netherlands, completely different kind of track to China. Of course, got a P2 there last season. Hoping to go one better this season. Do you think?
I think I need the fortune from last season to kind of get me up in that top step again, or fighting for that top step at least. But I'll be happy with another points finish. Maybe another podium could be on the cards, but yeah, I think luck has to be in my favour.
Yep. Congratulations on the podium anyway. Now on to our P2 driver, Ryan Jones 123. Well, if I'm correct in saying this is your first race of the season, is it? I seem to remember you ended your last race of last season getting a podium, so... Well, like London buses, of course, have to wait a while for one, and then they seemingly all come at once. So, how do you feel with that P2?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty happy, pretty surprised to be honest. I wasn't expecting to be up here, or to have that pace and quality in the race. But yeah, it was pretty good race. I was trying to keep him at the first stint, but he's just way too quick around here. Like I was pushing the first 3 laps because obviously it was pretty crucial to keeping the DRS, but I just couldn't do it. He just pretty much drove off into the distance, and then Ham behind that stint quick current state, bit like a gap, and then from then onwards, I want to say kind of only to it wasn't the guys behind. But
Sorry, you're cutting out. Sorry, you're cutting out a bit there.
Oh, hang on.
I think it's been an issue with the party. I don't think it's probably anything to do with you. I think it's just been an issue with the party all weekend, sadly, with all of the races.
I don't know if it's working.
Yeah, McLaren's had no pit crew apparently. Kept coming and going.
But yeah, anyway, I think we were a little bit concerned about Hoopalicious also at one point because he was on the alternate strat and he was gaining a lot. So I thought maybe he would come towards me in Zydrad to challenge for the podium, but that didn't happen. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, Zydrad was gaining a lot right at the end, to be honest. I was surprised. I don't know if he just saved up his ERS and went for a final push, but I noticed he was gaining, but I knew he had run out of time because there wasn't enough laps left, and he only just got into the DRS on the last straight, so I managed to keep him behind.
Yep. Good result for you anyway, and congratulations on your P2. Now, moving on to our race winner, Midzi. P1 in qualifying, of course, pretty much effectively leading every single lap, winning by 8 seconds. Some might say that was an easy victory. That was an easy victory for you, but absolutely fantastically commanded. Being awarded the driver of the day as well for your drive. How was it? Well, I would say behind the wheel or behind the pad, you might say. How was your race?
Yeah, it's hopefully this works without cutting out too much. Yeah, it was good. I mean, I take it a lot of people didn't get a good lap through in quali. Obviously, Ham, Hoop, Merckx didn't get through to Q3 either, so that could have changed things up. But yeah, got pole. Just tried breaking Ryan's DRS, but then Ryan was in problems with his upshift button, so that helps me out because he'd lost a few attempts a couple of times. And then, yeah, it was just being about consistent, something that I'm not usually good at. I guess, just being consistent, making the most out of it, showing that I've studied and everything.
Yeah, of course it's been your first. Of course, you've been your first win in a while. Yeah, how does that feel? When to, I guess, finally break your duck in this league. I believe it was France last season was your last victory. But back on the top step of the podium.
Yeah, obviously it feels good. I mean, I'd like to think I had a chance in Bahrain, but I made mistakes. I could have potentially last week, but I kept making mistakes and got a penalty. So it's good. I mean, it's been ages. I mean, I DNF'd it last season as well. I didn't DNF. I got a punch on the last lap after getting damaged and pitting for hards on lap one. So yeah, obviously it's good. Really happy, of course, and obviously well done to Jed and Ryan, especially Ryan as reserve. Shout out to Benz and shout out to Dorsey as well.
Yep. Yep, of course. And finally, I guess, question now your season has properly kickstarted with a victory. You've been up there, arguably had the pace for pole position in 3 of the 4 races, maybe even 4. You could argue after maybe being quite close in Australia as well. Are you taking each race one race at a time, or do you genuinely think you can, or do you think you can hold this pace perhaps throughout an entire season and maybe finish right near the top towards the end of the season after the start you've had?
I'm not really worried about that, to be honest. I've got a couple of tracks that I hate, absolutely despise. I think the main thing is consistency, getting the most out of each race that I've been able to do for a long time. That's the main thing.
Yep. And of course, good points for you and your teammate as well. I believe Crispy finished, was it P5 or P6? I can't exactly remember. I think it was P6.
I think there was a bit of a battle at the end there. A few people gained and lost a few places.
Yeah, he finished P6. He done well. Obviously dropped out of DRS. He just he tried holding off Hoop as well, but was Hoop on them much fresher mediums. He couldn't really do much, but still solid points.
He had a good race. Really good race.
Yeah, solid points for the team, extending your lead at the Constructors' Championship as well. So, all in all, good results, I guess you could say. And I guess now is time to round off the stream. We've spoken to our podium finishers, with Midzi, of course, taking the victory and the driver of the day, as I said. And that's all we got time for. Please join us next week for the Netherlands, Zandvoort. Rapid laps, very hard to overtake, but I imagine all of our guys in SLR will put on a good show nonetheless. I've been SLR Sem here with SLR Hypers. Thank you all for watching, and good night.
Good night, everybody.